Hi everyone, I'm firefighter Derek Contramilio. Welcome to number 1 Fire Hall for Sault Ste. Marie Fire Services. I'm the tail end today with number 2 platoon, and we're going to get a tour of the fire hall. Okay, so here we are at the kitchen at number 1 Fire Hall. It's a very important part of the hall. We need to eat. We're pretty athletic as firefighters. We have a demanding job. So a lot of good meals are cooked here. This is also a good place where a lot of information is passed down to firefighters. So knowledge from our senior staff. A lot of talks go around the table. That's where we have our doctors, our electricians, our plumbers, and definitely your fathers and helping you get through life. So a lot of good discussions at the table. Very important part of the fire hall. So this is the living quarters of number 1 Fire Hall. We actually have 3 other halls in the city, so it can be a little crowded when the other trucks are down here. It's a good place for a meeting and to talk to the other halls. So as firefighters, we're involved in a lot of charitable events, and one of our events is the 24-hour hockey marathon. So we like to keep that on the wall to remind us of what we do each year, and also so we like to get involved in our community in a lot of events like hockey tournaments or golf tournaments or whatnot. So these are just some of the prizes we've come up with if we come on top. So the trophies are in the living quarters. So we're number 2 platoon. This is our last day shift in, so it's a big scrub out day, we call it. That's the day where everything gets moved to the sides and dry mopped, and everything's clean. So the next set of crews coming in tomorrow will have a clean hall ready for them. So there's been many generations of firefighters that come through this fire hall. We like to pay tribute to a lot of the members who have served the community. So this is just a board of a lot of platoon chiefs and firefighters and captains that serve the city of Sault Ste. Marie. So this is the platoon chief and captain's office. This is where the reports are done after our calls. It's also a place we meet in the morning just to see what our day entails and what to expect. So when we get an emergency over the PA, driver will usually come to this map board. He'll find the location of the street or the address that we have to go to for an emergency, find his route, and then we'll get in the truck. So it's very important that firefighters know where we're going ahead of time. There's no GPS in the truck actually, so this is the holy grail when it comes to an emergency. So this is our bunker gear room. We actually have 4 different platoons that work for the city of Sault Ste. Marie. 2 platoons will be off. This is 1 platoon and 2 platoons rack. Like I said earlier, I'm on 2 platoons, so our gear will be on the fire truck today so that we can respond to an emergency efficiently. 1 platoon is on night shift, and their gear will be on the rack just outside here. So when you're on night shift and it's daytime, your gear actually ends up on the rack over here, and then we'll switch out at shift change. So today I'm the tail end firefighter on this truck. This is pump 1. What we do if you're on shift, your gear stays beside the truck so that we can respond to an emergency as quickly as we can. So my gear stays right here, and I'm ready to go if we get a call. So this is our hose tower. After each fire, our hose has to be cleaned and washed and hanged up to dry. They have a cloth outer shell, so we don't want any mold or mildew building up on the hose lines in the hose beds in the truck. So this is our gym. Part of our day is to stay in shape. We have a very high demand job. Some fire calls we can be at are very strenuous on the body, so we like to stay healthy, stay active throughout our day. A little portion of it is put towards working out, so this is what we have at number 1 Fire Hall. So this is our communications room. Essentially all 911 calls and business calls will come right into here. The dispatcher will then respond the appropriate trucks. He'll also answer business calls. If it's a non-emergency incident, you can call 949-3335. This is who's going to be answering the phone. There's someone in this chair 24 hours a day, every day of the week. This is one of the most important parts about the job is dispatching the truck. So the communication operator will do just that with the communication system in front of us. So this is Water Rescue 1 behind me. This is what we use for water rescue, ice water rescue. This boat can actually go on top of the ice. Very useful in the winter time. We get a lot of calls for out on the ice in the winter, so it's pretty useful for getting towards patients or animals, whatever the call's for. It's an airboat, a little different than normal operation of a boat. So it's a very useful boat. It's actually used in a lot of mutual aid emergencies. We get called out to different areas, even on the outskirts of town. So we're inside Water Rescue 1. This boat is always attached to the trailer and attached to our HM1 truck in front of it. As a Pump 1 crew, which I'm on today, we're also in charge of Water Rescue 1 to respond to any water rescue calls. So we have our specialized equipment off to the side, ready to go if we get a call. And when we're in the boat, it can be pretty loud with the propeller in the back. So this actually hooks up right to our radio communications. We can talk to dispatch as well as amongst each other when we're in the boat. So at our main fire hall, we have two specialized equipment trailers, one being hazardous materials. The other is a specialized rescue equipment. On board, we have stuff for ice water rescue, confined space rescue, rope rescue, etc. In our hazmat trailer, we have everything from decontamination unit to containing spills in case we were to encounter a hazardous material incident in Sault Ste. Marie. So you're probably wondering where we are right now, but we're actually on the top of Aerial 1, a little different compared to the other fire trucks located at this hall. This truck is a backup truck, but it is in service. For any calls to any high-rise buildings, this will usually go out. And this can reach up to 30 meters in height. It's a mid-mount aerial with a bucket attached on the front for rescues or for operating the nozzle that's attached to it. So in behind me, this is a rescue truck, Rescue 1. It's essentially just a big toolbox. Like, we have a lot of specialized equipment in here if we need them at a fire scene or an accident, anything that we're going to that we need additional equipment that we might not have on our pumper trucks. To my left, another important truck in the fleet. This is our tanker truck, tanker number 1. Very important truck when we're responding to incidents in remote areas where they might not have a fire hydrant. This truck essentially carries water with it. There's not as much tools on this truck as a pumper or rescue truck would have. Its main function is just to bring water to a fire scene. So right here is pumper number 1. This is the main fire truck at this station. I'm tail end on this today, sitting right in the back seat here. Every day we have to make sure the truck's operational, so we'll go through, we'll make sure everything's working and on board. First thing when a firefighter comes on shift is bring your gear to the truck. We take it off the rack. We make sure it's ready to go. We also make sure that our SCBAs are working. They're mounted right into the back seat here. Every day we make sure it has the proper air supply in them. They're rated at just over 2200 PSI, so roughly 20 minutes for a bottle working at a fire scene. So as the pumper operator, this is basically your workstation. This is how you get water essentially in and out of the truck. This is called the pump panel. Every day you want to make sure this is operational and that there's actually water on board the fire apparatus before we head out the door. So there's a lot of tools on board our pumper number 1, fire extinguishers, different hand tools. We also have high-rise pack for when we're going into any type of apartment building where there's a water supply that we can feed to an upper floor. We'll take this hose pack up with us. Cribbing for motor vehicle accidents, as well as stabilizers for motor vehicle accidents. At the back of the fire truck is our hose bed. We have 4-inch hose that goes from a fire hydrant to the fire truck. That's how we supply the fire truck with water. And we also have our 1 3/4 attack lines on each side of the hose bed here, and we'll use these to go inside a house fire or any type of fire around the city. So also on board Pump 1 is our Hearse tools, also known as the Jaws of Life. These are most commonly used for motor vehicle accidents if we need to extricate a patient so that they can seek medical attention. So every part of this fire truck's in use. We have compartments for our SCBA bottles. So we'll have spare bottles if we're in need at a fire scene. We also have chainsaw and K12 saw for different rescue operations or for ventilation operations, as well as powered fans in order to push smoke through a building so we can have a clearer vision and help put out the fire. Part of our job is responding to medical emergencies. We're equipped with a defibrillator as well as oxygen and bag valve masks and many other different medical equipment just in case we need it on scene. So that's a quick glimpse of where we live. It's the end of the tour. It's time for me to go.
Call us, we're free. We come to your house, we check it out. We'll use our meter, check throughout the house to make sure there's nothing wrong. So in the fire service, we have 3 lines of defense. The first line of defense is public education, second line is inspection and enforcement, and the third is emergency response. So we hold many seminars and presentations as well as live demonstrations. Anytime there's an event in the community, we're out and we're trying to get involved and be a part of it, spread our message. It's all about awareness. Any event where we can set up a booth or a table. We also have Fire Prevention Week and Carbon Monoxide Awareness Week. We have social media, we have a website with information. We do media releases, radio advertisements and commercials. The main goal is to ultimately teach people and change their behaviors so that they can prevent fires from happening in their homes. Smoke alarms have to be on every story of your home outside of all sleeping areas. You have to regularly maintain them by testing them once a month. On the back of them, there's an expiry date. It's a date of manufacture. Smoke alarms have a life expectancy of roughly 10 years. Most fires happen between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Most people are sleeping. If you don't have a working smoke alarm, it's not going to alert you of that fire. So they have to be outside of all sleeping areas in your residence. You have to test them once a month, and you have to check the batteries. Same thing with a carbon monoxide alarm. On the date, there's a date of manufacture. You have to check that date and make sure that your alarm's not expired. Along with our seminars and presentations, we also do live demonstrations and fire extinguisher training. This one's rated A, B, C. So A is ordinary combustibles like wood, paper, things like that. B is flammable liquids and oils. So it could be like gasoline, cooking oils, things like that. And Class C is electrical, so television, computers, any electrical appliance. So this extinguisher will put out any of those types of fires because it's rated for all 3. Another thing you need to look at with your fire extinguisher is the dial. So you want to make sure that it is in the green, and you want to make sure that these are also serviced. So you only have one use with these. You can't reuse it and reuse it. It has to be used once and then has to be taken and serviced, or you have to get another one. Proper maintenance for a fire extinguisher is every year or so you can turn it upside down, pat the bottom of it just to loosen the powder, give it a little bit of a shake. Make sure that your pin's inserted and that nothing's loose or falling out. Make sure that they stay in the green. One of the acronyms we use for fire extinguishers and how to use them is the PASS system. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull the pin. So you put your finger, pull the pin out. Once you pull the pin, you aim the nozzle. So you're going to aim it at the base of the fire and not at the flames. If you think of a campfire, you want to aim at the coals and not the flame. So after you aim, you're going to squeeze the trigger, and then you're going to sweep back and forth. And the acronym for that is PASS. So pull the pin, aim, squeeze, and sweep. So we have a trigger gun here. What I'm going to do is I push the initial button to get propane firing to it, and then the fire, we can control one or make it even bigger. So this makes it a lot more realistic for people because you're actually having to put out a real fire. Makes it a lot more intense. You can actually feel the heat coming off the flames, things like that, and what it would actually be like in a real fire. So you have to break the tab off, you have to pull the pin, then you're going to grab the nozzle, you're going to aim, and you're going to squeeze the trigger and sweep at the base of the fire. And that's basically how the fire extinguisher training works. So you have to be a proper distance away, and we help guide people, and there's a whole educational classroom component beforehand where we teach them all about classifications and how to use it with the PASS acronym, and then we come out here and do a demonstration much like that.
There are days when fires do happen, and a part of our mandate is to conduct fire investigations at every fire. Whether it's a small fire or large, we can usually get down to a location where the fire occurred, and usually at that point of ignition, we can find the cause. So I'll just show you a little bit of what it is that we wear. Protects us from heat, protects us from the water. The bunker coat, same material, protects us in 3 ways. Temperature, again from liquids, from getting wet, and from penetration. You can poke through, getting burned, that kind of thing. Pants over the boots, head protection, and our firefighting gloves. For the SCBA, we've got a pressurized tank filled with pure clean air, just like the air in this room. We turned it on, it's under pressure. A face piece we use. Overhead. And then, use a regular cut off. Now we're breathing from the tank, and of course, all of our other equipment. Okay, so at other times during an investigation, full SCBA isn't required. It could be many hours after the fire is extinguished. We have an air quality tester, and what this does is it monitors the air. We wear it personally so that in the immediate vicinity, we know our air quality, oxygen, carbon monoxide. We know if there's hydrogen sulfide, or if there's a flammable vapors present. That could be a hazard if there was an ignition source present. Air respirator, personal respirator. So it's a battery operated unit which we can turn on. And what it does is it has a power pack. It filters the air through these filters. We wear it here on our hip. We'll have air that's provided to us, filtered air, that'll just reduce the, or remove the contaminants and provide us with clean air to breathe without the cumbersome size and the weight of a full self-contained breathing apparatus. Overhead, and the air is supplied through this hose to allow us to work unencumbered.
Welcome to Sault Ste. Marie Fire Services Administration Division. Sault Ste. Marie Fire Services is committed to protecting the citizens of Sault Ste. Marie. Here at the main fire hall, the Administration Division supports the Office of the Fire Chief, Deputy Chiefs in Operations, Fire Prevention, Public Education, and Support Services. In addition to supporting all divisions of fire services, the dedicated staff in the Administration Division perform a variety of duties. Fire Services receives numerous emergency and non-emergency calls daily. Always dial 911 in case of an emergency. For non-emergency inquiries, call 949-3335. This line is monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Fire Services Administration Division also works in collaboration with many outside agencies, maintains all fire statistics and records, and assists you, the public, in obtaining open-air burn permits. Thousands of permits are issued annually through our Prevention Division to ensure fire safety within our community.
In order to have an outdoor fire in the City of Sault Ste. Marie, all residents must obtain a permit. The permit process is initiated by submitting a request and paying the required fees. To apply for a permit, please call 705-949-9898. You can also apply online by accessing our city's website e-services or in person at 72 Tancred Street. A fire prevention officer will perform a site inspection, at which time conditions for approval will be reviewed. If possible, the fire prevention officer will check the home smoke alarms and CO alarm if required. Upon approval, an open-air burning permit is issued and recorded by civic address. When the permit expires, it is the owner's responsibility to renew the permit prior to subsequent burning. There are 3 options for renewing a fire permit. 1. Register online by accessing the city's website e-services. 2. Contact Fire Services by calling 705-949-9898. And 3. Visit us in person. Our office hours are Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. Please be advised that permits are non-transferable.
We are at the Support Services Mechanical Division Maintenance Shop. This is where we do all of our maintenance work for the fire trucks, the ambulance work, and our small firefighting tools and equipment that may need repairs from time to time. Basically, we contract all their maintenance work. The operations of the trucks and fleet is maintained by our mechanics, and basically the paramedics are contracted by the City of Sault Ste. Marie to do the emergency first response work. We regularly do inspections on our vehicles based on scheduled mileages and hours. We do all the mechanical repairs on the fire trucks and ambulances. We do annual inspections that are required for the Ministry of Transportation. We do repairs on equipment. We do legislative testing that is done annually, for example, ladder testing, aerial ladder testing. We do our fire pump flow testing annually. We do hydrostatic air testing of our breathing apparatus and the flow testing of the actual air packs to maintain the legislations for NFPA requirements. The port account is this machine here, which is basically linked to an adapter which will connect into the face piece, and the user would wear the harness tight to their face. We start the program, which is on the software, and it starts to do readings, and it would determine whether or not there's any leaks in the face piece seal that would be up against the face.
Good morning, Lorraine.
Good morning, Dad.
Nice seeing you again.
Nice seeing you.
So we're here this morning because we would like to just confirm that things are in order here at Pathways. Do a little inspection with regard to your fire safety equipment. And also too, you and I have to work on the scenario for the fire drill.
Correct.
For the staff to do an evacuation with regard to as it applies to vulnerable occupancies. Vulnerable occupancies, the Fire Prevention Division is mandated by the province to conduct inspections, look at fire drill scenarios, to approve those fire drill scenarios, and to witness those scenarios. Now these are places where people reside who will require assistance to evacuate in the event of an emergency. So we're talking about nursing homes, retirement homes, hospitals, places where people reside that are mentally delayed, where the staff is going to be required in order to assist those people to safely evacuate. When we're dealing with inspections within vulnerable occupancies, we have to verify that the fire safety equipment is well maintained. So, simple thing like the standpipe system and the fire hoses in the cabinet, we want to make sure that it's ready to go if necessary. There's annual and monthly checks that are required, and so we'll just confirm that this has been done and that's up to date. Make sure that things are in order, there's nothing out of place. And also in here we have our fire extinguishers, same idea. There's monthly and annual requirements, checks and inspections that are required. Just make sure that they're right up to date. Things look in real good order here. So as well, we got fire separations that we have to verify that are in order. Fire doors that have to close upon activation of the fire alarm system. Close completely. And these are looking real good. Corridors, where we're going to need to utilize the corridor to evacuate people. Make sure that it's free of obstructions. We're also looking for exit signs to make sure they're illuminated so we can easily see our way out for anyone who's not familiar with where the exit is. Again, a set of fire doors, make sure they operate well. Things are nice and clear in this particular corridor. It's the way we like to see it. Additional hose cabs, we would check each one to make sure that things are well maintained and in order. All of our vulnerable occupancies would be equipped with a fire alarm system at least, and larger buildings would be required to be sprinklered as well. So the pull station is for an event where the fire alarm system hasn't activated, but there is a staff member that's aware of a fire, smells smoke or sees fire, then they can use the pull station to initiate the alarm rather than having to wait for it to activate automatically. The floor plan indicates where fire extinguishers are located, hose cabinets, where fire alarm pull stations are, and also shows ways to get off the floor area. The primary and alternate routes are indicated on the plan so that anybody who is unfamiliar with the layout of the building can easily see how that's done. Now into the stairwell as well, we look and make sure that the doors work well, and we want to see a nice clear stairwell with no obstructions, no chairs, no walkers, no storage, cardboard boxes or anything that's combustible. I kind of think of the stairwell as sacred, because this is what we're going to need to get people in and out. In a vulnerable occupancy, the fire department is required to witness an evacuation fire drill at least once a year. And the purpose of that is so that we can witness and ensure that the staff are aware of their responsibilities in an emergency and can demonstrate their ability to safely evacuate all the people that require assistance from the area where they are at risk to a safe area beyond the fire zone. And what this is all for is to ensure that the required level of safety is maintained in occupancies where people need assistance to be able to evacuate in an emergency.